This week, we do have Ned West, who agreed to
Hello.
be the next victim. I mean, next person to talk about.
Can you hear me well enough?
I can. Yes, Ned.
Okay.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got started in our industry, your routines, those types of things.
Yeah. Well, believe it or not, it's been 35 years that I've been in this industry. So I grew up east of Pittsburgh in a little town called Ligonier with my mom and dad, John and Vernie West. As most of you know, my dad was in this industry, started in 1951 with a company called the Von Senden Company, which was the first distributor or one of the first in this industry. Started in 1884 in Pittsburgh and incorporated in 1891. So mom and dad were awesome, and I had two brothers, John and Tim, older brothers, who regularly beat up on me as I grew up. And but that's good for you. It gives you a spirit. So they both live in my community of Allison Park, Pennsylvania, which has been really nice growing up with both my brothers in the same. They're within 4 miles. So my kids knew their kids, and a very close family. And my mom was a Spanish teacher, had her master's from Pitt, and taught Spanish in the school district in Ligonier. But actually, she substituted for years and was one of those substitutes that was at school all the time. I had my mom for Spanish, French, chemistry, physics, and also boys' gym one time, believe it or not. So, my passions and hobbies, I love anything outdoors. I've done a ton of skiing, lots of whitewater canoeing down in West Virginia, about 18 canoe trips through the years, a lot of sailing, and I love live music. As anybody that's been in my office, it's filled with product development for the Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd, etc. And so I've gone to see a lot of live shows. The Stones 6 times, Grateful Dead 6 times, Pink Floyd 4 times. Even saw the very final live Bob Marley show was in 1980 here in Pittsburgh, and it was his last live show on the planet Earth, and I was fortunate to be there. A bunch of buddies and I from Allegheny College in Meadville came down to see the show. We had no idea it was going to be Marley's last show, and I wish we would have been paying attention a little bit more because it's sort of an iconic thing. This year is the 40th anniversary, and I'm working with Rich Engler, the famous Pittsburgh rock promoter, on a 40th anniversary Marley show where I hope to be entering some photos to be used in the multimedia that were shot by a guy that was at the show too. So anyhow.
That's awesome.
My first job was actually out of Allegheny College. I stayed there with a bunch of buddies that were philosophy majors, and next thing you know, we were doing industrial cleaning and painting for a company called Cermak. So I would go to Cleveland on a regular basis, to Solon, Ohio, to Stouffer's Foods, and we'd clean out their flour silos, which were 5-story high silos that we would power wash from the inside. Industrial cleaning was pretty crazy. We were doing sandblasting, industrial painting. That job lasted for a year, and I'm glad it was only a year because it was a bear of a job.
Wow.
So I moved to Pittsburgh, and I was working in some art galleries, and that wasn't paying the bills so well. And so it was 1985, and my dad said, why don't you try this business? I've made a nice living at it, and you're a creative guy. I think you could have fun at it. So I was like, Dad drives a Mercedes Benz, and he seems to come home every day with a smile on his face, and maybe I'll give it a shot. So that was the start in 1985, and my career started with introductions actually from my dad to clients like Westinghouse and National Steel, where pretty immediately we were doing some cool work. the first part of my career, I sold a lot of cross-writing instruments, sold a bunch of Zippo lighters, and a lot of die-struck bronze medallions, which the medallion thing was really cool. Like for University of Pittsburgh, we were doing the bicentennial and did a lot of medallions that were being handed out, and that was a great initial bit of business to learn process, because I was learning about die striking in metal and finishing, and you're learning about patinas and all that sort of thing. So
cool.
And then around 1990, I had an idea for actually Playboy Enterprises, which there's these pens that are called billboard pens. They have a sheet of paper that are spring-loaded in the pen, and if you pull the sheet of paper out, you can read, like in the insurance industry, they'd have like an actuarial chart on it or something like that. I thought this would be great for Playboy with Miss May in there. So I called up Playboy in New York City and said, I have a great idea for you. And they said, well, that's pretty cool. And then this was like November. Like a week later, I got a call and they said, well, we don't want that idea, but we need to do custom shaped rabbit head pewter paperweights we want to hand out to our advertisers. And Playboy as a magazine, of course, their business is advertising with companies like Philip Morris and Marlboro cigarettes ads and booze ads, Jack Daniels, that type of thing. So that Christmas, they wanted to send out this paperweight as a thank you to their advertisers into their magazine. So 2 weeks later, I had an order for Playboy in New York City, and I was like, wow, that was so easy. And that's what started me on cold calling on bigger companies. So I thought, if I can call Playboy in New York and get an order in 2 weeks, that means I should be able to call just about anyone. And so I started doing that with clients like DC Comics and Cartoon Network and Mad Magazine and later Lucasfilms, and continued on until, and you never know where a lead's going to come from. Like the music industry, I can remember the day I was reading Rolling Stone magazine, and there was an ad on the back. This is like year 2000, and it was an ad for a company called Artist Direct out of LA, and they were doing music merchandising, and I called them, and really pretty immediately I was doing Zippo lighters for bands like AC/DC and Deep Purple, and there was this band called Foo Fighters who I'd never heard of. And so I was doing Foo Fighters Zippo lighters, and then they said, you should talk to Cinderblock up in San Francisco. So I called them, and next thing I was doing lunch boxes for Green Day and Weezer and Smashing Pumpkins stuff. And then they said, there's this company called Anthill Trading in New York. And so I called them, and then next thing I know, I was working with Anthill around 2002 that became a big client that was doing all the product for Pink Floyd, Rolling Stones, etc. So, and now I've worked with probably 20 different music merch firms over the last 20 years because of that sort of hop skipping within a single industry. That sort of worked out. So anyhow. One of these questions is my first order, and I remember it totally. I remember getting it. It was 10,000 pencils, and it's sort of funny, but it was in the music industry. So I was down on the north side of Pittsburgh, and in what is now the Warhol building, up on the second floor, that used to be Volkwine's Music, which was the local big music distributor in Pittsburgh. And it was their centennial, and I got an order for 10,000 pencils. And, even though it's 10,000 pencils, it was maybe who knows, a $250 order, but it was my first order, and that got me off and running. So,
well, at least it was big enough for you to get a commission off of it.
Exactly. What are some of these other questions?
So what, who was the most influential person in your life?
Well, I'd have to say my dad, and I never had any idea that I would get into this industry when I was growing up. But I love this job. Anyone that walks into my office and see all the stuff I have on my shelf. That's because of my passion for every project. With my art background, my degree was art history and studio art, so I love the look and feel, and I love the design. So really, it's a little bit up and beyond the typical slap a logo type of stuff, and the more complicated projects where you end up with an end result. And that came from Dad. Dad was doing complicated projects like his framed prints that he was very proud of. He had corporate clients like PPG. For 31 years, he ran the PPG corporate gift program into the highest level of PPG. And one thing he had pitched to them in the mid-'70s were custom painting projects as client appreciation gifts. So he found an artist, a very fine artist, to do oil paintings of different subject matters for PPG. Then they would have prints made that Bud Gibbons would sign and number them, and then they would get them framed. And so it was that sort of creative, artistic type of project that led me to very much get into doing involved projects that where the object being handed out has a really perhaps higher integrity. It's not just land, it's something that's going to stay around. So I'd say my dad, yeah.
So what are some of the biggest challenges that you've experienced in your career? And what have you learned from them?
It's I think one of the bigger ones is we work in such a massive industry. It's 3,500 suppliers. It's a lot of stuff. We can sell so much stuff, and I think sometimes for all of us, it gets a little complicated. Is what is I'm selling? I mean, I sell everything. So I do think that it is a good idea to pick some favorites, and you can concentrate on them, and you get you can get good at selling certain categories. And of course, we can sell everything, and we do that, and that keeps it fun. I don't know how there's people that sell like copier machines, and they're selling one model all day long. I think that gets boring. So we always have cool new stuff, but I think that's one challenge, is just, and especially like right now with this whole PPE thing, it's just insanity trying to sift through your head. Who is my supplier? What am I selling? It changes every day. It's such a fluid thing that makes it difficult. But for instance, on preferred vendors, for instance, Morris Magnets is one of my favorites. They've given me free spec samples for 20 years. It's a simple product to produce, but it's gorgeous in the end, and my clients really like it. They're always extremely happy, and they're really piece of cake orders. So FYI, I'll pitch them again. If you have any events or promos or retail merchandise, Sarah at Morris Magnets is amazing, and I could sell their stuff all day long. So
yeah, that's great. So how do you go? Because I know, Ned, when I walk by your office, I hear you prospecting all day long. Like what's your method, and how do you go about doing it?
Well, that's sort of a scattered approach. It just depends on whatever hits me. It's just like that Rolling Stone magazine thing, is that, I mean, it does help to be curious about the world around you, I think, is the biggest thing. I mean, read and then respond, look and then respond, and pick up and make that phone call. It's just like that. Totally. And I do sort of have a little bit of an ADD personality, a little bit of obsessive compulsive, a little bit of impulsive type of personality. So being impulsive can be a very good thing, because that's a lot of times in my past I've said, I'm picking up the phone, just making the phone call. And you might get the no, but after 10 no's, you're going to hit a yes. And that's, as we've both talked about many times, it's a numbers game. Just, in fact, I almost like no's. And I think Dan said that too, is that the more no's you get, that means you're getting closer to a yes. And that's the absolute truth. You just, on cold calling, you just cannot take it personally. You just say, fine, see you later. Let's go on to the next guy. And that's the best advice on that. The yeses are out there. There are millions of yeses out there. All you have to do is take a look at our industry. I mean, our industry is 25 billion in sales or something like that. That's a lot of yeses. They're out there. You just got to go find them. So,
yeah, that's great advice for sure. So during this whole COVID thing that has happened to us this year, what are what do you see happening in our industry? What do you see as our future with, even though there's so much uncertainty out there, but what are you seeing and feeling what will happen in our industry over the next 6 months to a year?
COVID is not going away, and our sales this year, we are up 15% in a COVID environment. That is absolute insanity. It is. Companies are failing left and right because of lack of sales, and we were able to do a thing called pivot. And I need to do a better job at it but I'm working on it. I'm getting some very serious opportunities. My pivot is going to happen, and that's for all of us. There is massive need out there. So in my opinion, over the next 6 weeks, we could be writing a ton of business. Every school needs to be outfitted with PPE, and they have someone sitting at a desk going, okay, I've just been given the job of finding PPE. How the hell do I do it? And if we call in to them and be what we're supposed to be, which is a counselor, and that's why our industry magazine is called Counselor, because that's what we are supposed to be, as a counselor to our prospects and clients. So we just need to get on the phone, find those people who are dazed and confused because they have been given the job to source PPE, and we've dialed down on that. We know the PPE product is best it can be known, which is insanity. But this company has totally ramped up to know and understand PPE and sell it. So in my opinion, the next 6 months could be some of the best sales of our career. And then, this whole attitude and look and feel about being safe and protective, it's going to linger for a while. I mean, this is really not going away. So the sooner we dial into selling PPE in a big, strong way to as many people, the more sales we're going to get. And we can also be heroes where we're helping people. So,
yeah, no, I think that's a great point. I've heard several of our clients, just through some of the surveys, thanking us for finding and solving some of their issues that they had during this whole COVID experience. So it does feel good to be on that side of it for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just met a guy at Amesco Scientific in Philadelphia. We got our first order with him, and he is very excited to meet HDS. While we were talking in the last 15 minutes, I just got another email where he's like, I have a client interested in those buckets of wipes, and give me the details. I mean, he's someone that totally is looking to us to provide the solutions. They're out there. Those clients with the desire are out there. So.
Yeah, no, that's a good point too, of a call that you made that was successful right away because of our resources and solutions that we already have.
Yep.
So what's the one thing that you wish that you had known when you began your career? What's that one thing that you wish you would have known?
I think the biggest thing, and our sales, it truly is proven throughout HDS from all our salespeople, the bigger the company you're calling on, the bigger the wallets they have, the bigger the need they have. It's, if you call on a gas station, you're going to get gas station orders. But if you call on VP Corporate, you're going to get the kind of business that Dan Leno is pulling in from them. We are a top distributor in this industry with the best resources. There is no excuse not to call on the largest companies worldwide. We have the capability to provide to all of them. So big business comes from big clients. And that's that's what happened to me whenever I called Playboy, and next thing you know, over the next 10 years, I was providing their product between New York, Chicago, and the Mansion. And it was nice size sales, and it was because there was a big company with a big brand with lots of needs. And so call on bigger clients.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. So is there anything else before we wrap up that you wanted to add?
Just that in 35 years in this industry, I'm so very proud of HDS. I'm proud of my partners. I'm proud of every single team member. This company works hard, and we're as good as it gets, and I'm as proud as anything to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's great, Ned. Well, yeah. Out of your 35 years in this industry, I've known you for just over 15 of it, and I've enjoyed every step of the way for sure. You're an inspiration in the company that is very creative, and I think your attitude and your passion for the team is definitely seen, and everybody respects you for that. And I'm glad you're a part of our team, and a lot of us can learn a lot from you, and we already have. So that's.
Yeah. By the way, sorry if I send emails too much. I just it's the ideas that I want you guys to see. So you can always just say, "Hey, Ned, shut up."
No, I think everybody appreciates those emails. It does, even if it's not that one item that they're going to buy, it might spur an idea and a direction that can help. So continue to share.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I would love to see more of what other people are doing within this organization. If you've got a cool project, a great supplier, someone's done an awesome job, share it so that we can learn a little bit more about other better suppliers, processes, products, whatever. It's just if you got a good idea, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with the team.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that is a part of the focus for this year, is to be more collaborative with each other to help. I mean, we have over 25 sales reps on our team, and we all come from different types of backgrounds and focus on different types of clients. So let's share those ideas, because one idea in one industry can apply to maybe several other industries as well too.
Yep.
Okay, Ned. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks,
I appreciate you taking the time to join us on our HDS Focus podcast, and look forward to many more years of enjoying successes with you on our team. So thank you very much again.
Yep.